Hello, all, and welcome back to another episode of TV and Us, a conversation show about the TV series we just can't stop talking about. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
In each season, we focus on a different show, reviewing it episode by episode, and we invite you to watch along with us. Today, we are reviewing Succession Season 4, and we're going to be talking about Episode 3, Connor's Wedding. If you haven't watched it yet, this is your spoiler alert. Please check it out and watch it before continuing to listen. All right, so Sarah, let's kick off with a quick summary of the episode.
While Logan doles out an unsavory task ahead of his trip to meet Matsson, Connor fixates on minutia at his wedding.
All right. And let's start off the episode with our episode titles that we would give for episode 3.
I would have titled it The Wedding Grinch.
Nice. Yes. Plot twist, my title would actually just be Connor's Wedding. I kind of love what they did with this and how it supports expectations. It is so straightforward and unassuming.
Mm-hmm.
Really helps set the stage for all that unfolds. So my choice today is what they actually did.
I love that. My runner-up is Hoopla and Razzmatazz, which is a callback to the first episode, because that's what Connor wanted at his wedding. And so I was saving it from the first episode. But then given the events, that didn't seem like the best title. So I did not use it.
Yes, your long-awaited succession moment of Connor's
I was so
wedding.
bummed.
I
was holding it for the perfect moment, and this episode was not the perfect moment for Hoopla and Razzmatazz.
Nope, and the moment has passed. So here we are.
It's fine.
Here we are. It's okay, because I think you are very pleased, hopefully, with this episode. Knowing what I know about you and knowing some of your soapboxes about TV shows and movies and whatnot. Tell me your thoughts about this episode. What do you think?
Can we just first acknowledge that this episode, as of the time that we're recording it, is a perfect 10 out of 10 on IMDb.
Wow. That's incredible.
Like, wowzers.
Yes.
This episode is phenomenal. Like, one of the best episodes of TV. It's incredible. And yes, I am so pleased because the episode consistently subverted my expectations, and I thought that they were faking me out for a good long time, and they weren't, and it was great. So that little spoiler alert that we included at the beginning of this, like, please heed the spoiler alert. If you have not watched this episode, if you have not watched the Connor's Wedding episode, do not listen anymore, because you want to be along for the journey and experience everything that's happening in this episode as the characters are experiencing it. It is a phenomenal episode. Don't ruin it.
Just stay away from the internet in general.
Yes.
Actually. Because I've seen headlines.
Go watch it right now.
I've seen headlines of articles about this episode, and I just think it ruins the experience 100%.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why I love the episode title, Connor's Wedding.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
It's so unassuming. But man, I just am impressed that this show, these writers have the audacity to do what they did and committed to Logan's death in this episode. I didn't think it would, timing wise, like an episode 3 moment feels incredibly interesting, but knowing this is the final season, I'm sure we're going to talk about what this sets up for the next 7 episodes. But 2, to your point, I also thought that they were faking me out as well. I was like, there's no way they're doing this right now. there's no way, right? Are they really doing it? And so I empathized heavily with Roman, who was like, he's not gone, right? He's not gone. Unless a medical professional has proven that he's gone, he's not gone. And oh no, we see the whole thing. We see it is confirmed. We see the body bag. We see it all, and they really went for it. They swung for it, and they did it. They ripped off the band-aid.
Well, and what I loved about it is how it was shot, because
Mm.
for a lot of that conversation, you just see a close up of Tom's face, and then you see the kids, and then you see a stewardess doing chest compressions, but you can't see Logan. And so, like, that whole time, I was like, until you show me his face, I am not going to believe that he's actually doing this, because I believe that Logan is evil enough to do this just to screw with his children on another child's wedding day. Like, I could see him doing that to achieve some goal. And so it was minutes into this conversation with Tom that you finally see Logan's face, and I went, "Oh my gosh, they're really doing this!" And I got so excited. Um, and and somehow the episode just gets better from that point on too. I was amazed at, obviously the writing was great, but more than that, like, the performances. I mean, we've known
Oh my
that
gosh,
these
yes.
actors are incredible, but wow, like, I there are no words. It was, I get why this is a 10 out of 10 on IMDb. Like, their performances were perfect. And it was just an incredible ride, so well written. You knew uh, that these characters were all going through so much, and then the way that they reacted to the news felt so perfect for who they are as a character, and they include so many characters in this episode too, and you get to see all of their different personalities and how they're reacting to this news. Like, ugh, it's a phenomenal episode. It was great.
It's genius storytelling too, because I what I didn't realize until this episode was unfolding is how much we are invested in these people, especially the
Hmm.
kids. And like you mentioned, this moment of experiencing the thing that they have been dreading, that the show's kind of been building towards or foreshadowing, finally experiencing that, like they are pressed. And then we see what comes out of them, how they react. And like you mentioned, it's just so perfect for who they are as people. And it was weirdly comforting to see them react in this like incredibly difficult situation, but knowing that they are consistent with who we thought that they were, and seeing them try and navigate the situation the way that we would expect Roman to do and Kendall to do and Ship to do. It was oddly satisfying to be like, wow, we really know these people and I feel so invested in them, and I think all of that was just so well written. But to your point too, the whole time this this sequence of events is happening where they're talking to their father, what they think is his final moments, and it ends up being his final moments. But when they're talking to him, like one, what they are saying to him in this incredibly built up moment is illuminating. But two, I could see how this would be illuminating for Logan as well. To see like if this were to happen, like which of his kids will react in which ways. And of course um that fake out isn't actually true, which is as we mentioned, the audacity there is incredible. But for us as the viewers to see like what do these kids say in their dad's final moments and what comes out of them, and each of them respond so differently to the events that are unfolding, and all of their little comments and even the smaller throwaway lines. I rewatched the first half of this because I was just like so floored. um, every line is like not wasted at all. Every line communicates something in each of them, and the efficiency but also the tact that this show has to create a moment like this where we really then intimately know these characters even further is just pretty incredible.
I just love that they're all so distinct and they're so human, and like they have big personalities. So I feel like it would have been easy to make them more similar than they are, but especially in an episode like this, you see them going through like waves of different emotion and reacting in so many different ways, and I just love the complexity of each character. Like I I want to go rewatch this episode right now because it was so good.
Hmm.
Uh, it really is. It feels like a master class in writing characters. Like this whole show, you could just study and learn how
Hmm.
to write an ensemble cast.
Hmm.
Ugh, it's so brilliant.
And what the show is incredible at doing is of course creating this sense of like they're big personalities that are easy to hate, of course. But also they're so incredibly human that you kind of see yourself in each of them as well, which is just this unique balance, this tightrope walk the show does, which is that you know how conniving and cunning they are as people and they all suck in a lot of ways, but they're all so deeply human and you relate to them and you empathize with them too, but not too much as well. So it's just this like really delicate balance that this film is able to strike with these characters.
Yeah, and I love that I was genuinely shocked by this episode. You know, like we talked in the last episode about Logan will have to be killed off at some
Yeah.
point in this season. Like the show couldn't end with Logan still alive. But I imagined that happening like episode 7,
Yeah.
maybe episode 5. Episode 3 was not a possibility in my mind. And
Right.
so I was genuinely surprised by this. And that was just a fun feeling to have because I'm usually not surprised by TV shows, especially. And that was just such a joy. I was like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, this is incredible. I want to be surprised more often.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes. And I think one, it's genius because they've been building up to this idea of who will Logan pick and this idea of succession, right? This one gets them out of having to figure that piece out. But two, what it opens up is the next 7 episodes to like literally let the games begin and let's
Yeah.
see all of these characters go for it. And one thing that I love about this episode too is that one of the things we were talking about in our previous episodes is we're excited to see how they use all of these side characters and what roles that they will play. And this episode one sets up this idea of like the games will begin. Welcome to the opening ceremony of the bloodbath that will ensue. But two, that these outsiders, quote unquote, these other side characters all have a role to play, whether they will be used by each other or they will distinctly be gunning for something. They are key players, and everything that we've learned about their personalities and the choices that they made in the past seasons now all matter. So now I'm like, okay, Frank and Jerry and Carl, like they are pieces on this chessboard. And of course, the kids are obviously some of the key players, but they are very much in the mix here as well. And this episode really ushers them onto the main stage to be like, what role will they play and how will this all unfold?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think I was thinking about the ending of the show as like one of the kids needs to like assume the throne, but I didn't like that idea. Um and and this episode made me realize I was thinking about it like way too narrowly. And so I'm so excited to see this open up, and it's not just
Yes.
biological succession, but
Yes.
it's who of these many characters that we've gotten to know
Yeah.
could succeed Logan. And I love that now we have episodes and episodes to be able to really explore this. And
Uh-huh.
I'm just so excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how they will build alliances with each other,
Yeah.
backstab on those
Yeah.
alliances, how they will figure out how to manipulate the board and the media, and all of the roles that they play and their superpowers are unique as well, and how will they wield those in this. It's really like the Hunger Games at this point, and we thought there were only three main uh players, but no, there are many that are part of this arena, and that's thrilling.
Hmm. Yeah. This battle royale just, I don't know, quadrupled in excitement. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's amazing.
And I think what's been interesting too is that for most of the show up until this point, Logan's really been the center of the universe. Like everyone's uh, plans and tactics and strategies have all been in relationship to him really as the center hub. And they are the spokes, and everyone is revolving around him and being in his good graces and being what he needs, all this kind of stuff. Now that Logan's gone, each of them has to fend for themselves. And it'll be really illuminating to see how they all like either step into that and like own and strategize as individuals now, or they falter because he's no longer this like centerpiece, like this really like centrifugal force of gravity. No, the possibilities are now much wider than had he still been in the picture, which is also exciting.
Hmm. And it was so sudden too.
Yeah.
Like, it really seemed like we were gearing up to this epic battle between Logan and the kids, and like, okay, this 3 versus 1, can the 3 kids take down the Goliath of Logan? And it seemed that's what we were building to. And
Yeah.
then whoop, he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love that, because I'm all of their expectations and everything that they were planning and getting into is completely changed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
and so then, like, also, like, we as the audience, now we're like, oh my God, what is next? But so are they. And I think we're going to see some really fun and interesting character choices that are going
Mm-hmm.
to come out of them, out of the gravity being taken away. It's going to be fascinating what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. And I think to your point earlier, the fact that this happens in episode 3 means that there's now enough time to really sink our teeth into all the juiciness of that. And had this happened later in the season, it would have left just less runway, less excitement, less long term strategizing that we can really see unfold. And so the opportunities for like paths forward just got exponentially larger by this happening now versus later on. So I think that's thrilling.
Yeah, like, how many times have we, slash a lot of times me, complained about, like, a movie is building up steam and like they're gonna do great things and they just run out of room, and so it's not fully developed. And
Yep.
like, Succession might do it right.
Yeah.
I, I am so excited at the possibility of this show being able to end
Well,
well,
well.
and like being a satisfying ending with everything being fully formed. And I don't know, it's very exciting to see that my assumptions of how this show would go were wrong, and that this show is potentially going to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so curious as to what's next. Like, I want all 7 episodes to be available right now so that I can binge watch all of them. Like, I need to watch them now. I don't want to
Yeah.
wait another month and a half.
Oh, I know, but we are gonna be on this
We
journey and
are.
soaking every week.
We sure are.
Yeah. I rarely have the urge after something's ended to, like, go back and watch it immediately, and I did with this one, and you know I don't do that, not even with
Mhm.
movies either, but I
Yeah.
went back and I didn't get a chance to finish the episode, but I was about, like, halfway through the second time around. It's this makes me want to watch that experience made me want to watch the show back in general, to see the
Mhm.
arc and how they've planted these seeds every step of the way to reach whatever final destination. Like, that would be really fascinating.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm so excited to watch this whole thing
Yeah.
over again. Like, I know we're not even halfway done with the final season,
No.
but I'm ready. The minute that it's over, I'm gonna be like, "Voop!
Mhm.
Episode 1, here we go."
Yep.
Like, I'm
Yep.
ready. Yeah, I definitely just sat on my couch in silence for a good long time after this episode was over because I was like, I don't I don't know how to move on with my day. Like,
Yes.
I know that it's a fictional TV show, but we just process through a lot of emotions
Yeah.
and I'm going to need a minute. And so again, like it's so satisfying for a TV show to affect the audience so strongly and like
Mhm.
where you have to watch it again or you have to sit and wrestle with some things after. Like, wow, what an
Mm.
impactful episode of television.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is they they chose the harder route here as well,
Hmm.
because it really is like a blank slate now for the dynamics and the relationships and the events that need to unfold in the next 7 episodes. Like, this is the harder job to do than to do the more conventional, like, one of the children ascends the throne by the end of this. This is the harder one because now every character needs to be scrutinized for, like, who are they really and what choices will they make now that they have a plethora of choice options available to them. Um, yeah, like, what will each of their choices next? Even in, I mean, I'm excited for episode 4. Like,
Hmm.
how who will start to move first? Who will start to strategize first? Who's still reeling from this and, like, can't get there yet? Who's gonna try and form an alliance with who first? Like, I'm excited for that.
And I love that this episode was able to contain like all of those things and you see these characters knowing that they need a moment to grieve, but at the same time they know that there's a business and they have to do businessy things, but then they're like, but that feels wrong because I'm grieving and I just lost my dad, but the business, and you just see them trying to figure out what next step to take, and I loved how complex each decision was, and and you see these characters like prioritizing but also needing to grapple with what they're experiencing at the same time, and it was, I don't know, the complexity was just beautiful to me because
Mhm.
I feel like it would have been much easier to just have like Kendall focused on work and Roman being emotional and sad and like Shiv doing something else. Like it would have been easy to just like pigeonhole the characters and like, okay, you do one thing, but each character has moments of all of these different emotions that they cycle through in various ways. It was great. Even some of the lesser characters too. You see them having to grapple with like business versus, this moment. And I love how they portrayed that on each and every person.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, this show, I think, has understood that these moments of crises are incredibly, like, illuminating moments for these characters. And most, like you mentioned, most storytelling on television and even in movies, honestly, saves that for, like, the finale, like the last act, right? Something big happens and then they see who they are. The show seems to be like, no, let's press them, see what comes out, and now that's going to set up where we take them next. It kind of flips the script really on how you use a moment of drama like this and a moment of crises with high stakes to do all these character revealing moments as the exposition. Like it's genius. It's so smart. It's so smart.
Mm-hmm. And that's when we learn so much about a character, but that's when a character also learns about themselves too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So again, like to your point, I think it's going to be very interesting the choices that are made after this.
Yeah.
And how does Logan's death potentially like torpedo some of these characters,
Mm-hmm.
even though and that exchange, I think it was Kendall and Carl, where Carl was like, you guys are estranged, and Kendall immediately is like, no, we were not estranged. And so it's just those little things where I'm like, wow, how is this going to absolutely upend who you are as a character?
Yep.
Oh, it's gonna be so fun to watch.
Yep. Yep. And I'm intrigued to see how the show uses these side characters. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
curious because they're there, they play some key roles in some moments, but for the most part, like most of the drama is not centered around them, right? It's centered around this family dynamic. And the side characters are sometimes there to help a gag through an episode, or they're pawns really. And this episode seems to usher them in to say like they've got ambitions too, and their desires, their loyalties, their alignments to their ambitions are going to play a role in this somehow. And you see that with how much time we spend in that plane with Frank, Carl, Tom. But there's these interactions that happen at the end of the episode that feel significant as well, with, for example, the statement. And Carl and Frank are kind of, they've got their peacock feathers out and they're like, no, the statement needs to come through us as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're going to need to
Yeah.
review it as well. And it's like, oh, where is this is coming from? An interesting place where clearly you have your eyes set on something now that this has unfolded. And I'm intrigued to see if the show will bring them in as vital players and what they do with it. That'll be fun to see.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, I hope so. There's
Yeah.
there's so many ways that this show could go now.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. The rise of Roman has, I don't think he ever rose really. It was
No,
like
he
he
really
went up a little
didn't.
bunny hill, but the first 10 minutes of this episode was like, oh, we were hoping for things. This is not unfolding. But I will say there's so much that's endearing about Roman, and I think that his like tenderness and his inability to be a shark is kind of what makes him endearing as well. Like he's the most sensitive out of all of the three kids. He's the one that is urging his father to show up for Connor's wedding. Like there's this humanness in him that I think if he can use as his superpower can get him far. But in this battle royale that's going to unfold, I'm really intrigued to see what they do with his character now, because that whole first opening 10 minutes of this episode where he's just so worried and anxious and unable to just knife Jerry in the back is an incredibly character illuminating moment. And I'm intrigued to see what they do with that too. The rise of Roman is officially over.
Mhm.
It never really began.
Well, and I do hope that we see a different rise of Roman, because I
Yeah.
and we talked about this a little bit in the last episode, but when Logan was like, I forget what he said, but like he needs a killer, basically. He used a different phrase.
Yeah.
But when Logan said that, I was like, but that's not who Roman is. And that's
Mhm.
okay that he doesn't fit this
Not Trev.
mold that you're
Yeah.
trying to make him into. And so I think this episode, maybe Roman learned a little bit more about himself. And so
Mm.
I really hope that, like, my version of the rise of Roman is for Roman to learn who he is and operate in that and not, conform to anybody else's version of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that this was him learning a bit more about himself and not trying to become his dad, because like you said, like, he has skills and abilities and he has a lot to bring to the table,
Yeah.
but he's always been kind of like pigeonholed because he doesn't fit the normal mold. So I want Roman to be himself and flourish in being himself, which is
Oh,
too positive for
I
this
love how
show.
much you want the best for these characters.
I
Okay,
do. I
thoughts
do.
about Tom? How Tom handled this episode? Tom's
Freaking hate
relationship
Tom.
with a
Tom
Shiv.
is an idiot. Tom
Tell
is
me
fine.
more.
He just annoys the hell out of me. He's not good.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think it's because he is inept. We talked about this a little bit in the last episode. I view him much more negatively than you do.
Mm.
And like, I understand he was in a very stressful situation, trying to relay stuff, trying to like manage what was happening and get the kids to have this final moment with the dad. But the whole time I was just like, oh my God, Tom, I need you. I need you to do better. I need you to have better answers. I need you to communicate better. I need you in crisis to become competent. But he did the best he could,
He
and
did.
that's fine.
He did.
That's fine.
What's interesting about him is the way that you see him potentially taking advantage of this
Mm-hmm.
situation to weasel his way back into this alliance with
Yeah.
Shiv,
Yep.
and she's in such a vulnerable state, and he's able to be something for her that she needs right now, and you can see his wheels turning in his opportunistic side to be there and be in the right um,
Mm-hmm.
alliance, which sounds like a
Yeah.
terrible word, but it really is.
No, but
It's like, let me hitch. This is my moment
yeah,
to be back.
that is what he is good at, though.
Yeah.
Is yeah, hitching a ride to the next level of success. So he
Yeah.
knows who to partner with so that he gets the favorable outcome, which is a skill.
Yeah.
I respect that.
It's a good
I
skill.
just I need my girl Shiv to be aware and say, "No, Tom, I'm not doing this with you."
Well, there was an interesting moment when they, right before the mini press conference that she gives, where she kind of falls into his embrace,
Mm-hmm.
and then she like kind of like lurches herself back out of it, and the expression
Yeah.
on her face was this kind of moment of like, oh no, like we can't be doing this. Like, and I just thought that that facial expression said so much in that moment as well. So I think your girl's aware, hopefully.
Gosh, I hope so. I'm not trying to do this whole Shiv and Tom thing again.
Yeah, but she calls him back into the
Yeah.
car with her, so
Yep.
she
Yep.
might
She
be him
does.
too. So
It's okay. We're complex. She's going through a rough moment. I get it. I just hope that cooler heads prevail.
yes. Okay. Other last thoughts about this episode before we get into our awards show.
Should we talk about Connor and Willa? Because we have not mentioned them once, and it's Connor's wedding.
I just want to know what the show is going to do with Connor and Willa and how they're going to play a role in all of this. Because
Mm-hmm.
even through this episode, they've kind of got their own little story arc going at the same time in parallel. But I'm excited to see how those threads will cross paths with everything else that's going on over here. They're really like in their own little story right now, and I'm intrigued to see how that goes. I kind of love that he's just like, I'm gonna get married. This is my day.
Yeah.
And I know my dad died, but like we're going to do it. We got the whole setup.
I'm just I mean, I guess all of the PR people were so focused on the three kids and
Yeah.
managing that situation and the statement and yada yada blah blah blah. But like, I'm a little shocked that none of the PR team was like, "Hey, you cannot get married on the same day that your dad died." Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was so surprised by that. I love that they went through with it, but that was just
Optics.
funny to me. Like, this is gonna cause problems at some point in time.
Yes. Yeah.
Because like Kendall had just made that speech of like they're going to be scrutinizing everything that we do today,
Mm-hmm.
da 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 da, and then like a few minutes later, Connor gets married that same day.
Yep.
So I was like, this is probably going to come back around.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of foundation laying that this episode's also kind of doing, which I think is what you're kind of bringing up as well, which is
Mm-hmm.
every choice right now and in the past, but especially right now, is setting up for the details that will be significant later on.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a really good puzzle they're
Yeah,
wielding here, you know?
yeah.
Just so juicy. Okay, let's do our award show for episode 3.
It
Man,
feels so weird
I
to be
know.
doing an award show on this episode.
I know, but I think there's some good awards to give in spite of everything that has unfolded. Let's start with the first one. Best insult.
So, my my favorite insult of this episode was when Roman was on the phone with Logan, not sure if Logan was alive or dead, and Roman says, "You're going to be okay because you're a monster." And I
And you
said,
win.
"This
You
is
always
perfection."
win.
It was just so good.
It's it's so loaded. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense, but it's perfect. It's
Yeah.
like the I love you, but you're not serious
Yes.
people.
Yeah. Yeah,
Taking a
it's
page
so
out of his
good.
father's book. It was great.
It's the most loving insult you'll ever hear.
Yes, exactly. My award goes to the 3 kids for how long it takes them to tell Connor.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole time I was like, "You morons, you have another sibling."
Yes. Yes. Well, tangentially related to this is there's a little interaction between Shiv and Kendall where Shiv's like, "Why didn't you
Yes.
tell me earlier?" That I was like, I feel like this is going to come back at some point. Because she realizes that they didn't come to her until much later. I mean, much later in the context of this moment is several minutes, but Kendall agreed to go get Shiv much earlier, and we were in that
Mhm.
scene for quite a while longer before he actually goes to get her. So I feel like there's going to be some bitterness and resentment that might arise from that.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that this episode
Planting
is
seeds.
creating new cracks in their
Yeah.
relationship. And so
Yeah.
we'll just see, and in everybody's relationships. And so we just have to see which ones will.
Big shoes to Catherine.
Yeah.
Ah, got so good.
Oh, I'm excited.
Who won the episode?
Uh, Waystar's biggest competitor.
Yes.
Because their stock price tanked and the company is going to be in free fall, you know? So whoever their biggest competitor is, they probably cleaned up.
One of my favorite moments is Roman pointing at the screen with the stock price. Be like, just the clip. He's like, "That is Dad."
Yes. It was so good.
My choice for who won the episode is all of the outsiders.
Nice.
Tom, Carl, Frank, Jerry.
It's good.
They get a chance to play now.
Heck yeah. They sure do.
With Logan still alive and potentially crowning one of his children, they're not
Mhm.
really part of the picture. Now they're like, aha, we have a moment now.
Yeah. Yeah, I was initially gonna pick Jerry because she was kind of fired
Mm.
at the beginning,
Yes.
and by the end, she's clearly very unfired and is
Hmm.
potentially an
A key
option for
player.
succession. So
Yep.
she came out big in this one.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It's great.
Best power move?
I chose Willa marrying into the family when the sensible thing to do would have been to cancel the wedding. And I was like, girl, you get your money.
Uh,
I'm not mad
Mine
at
is
it.
actually similar, and it's kind of the
Ooh.
reverse though, which is Connor marrying Willa regardless of everything that's happened.
That's amazing.
So I love that we are just celebrating the two of them and their nuptials.
Yeah,
It really is a
absolutely.
big F you to everything. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't care, I'm gonna do what I want. And Willa's like, I'm gonna gain some good stuff right here.
Yeah,
There's a
she
really
sure
interesting
will.
conversation that they have though when he explicitly asks her, why are you marrying me? Like, why are you in this? The like clarity that they communicate with each other is like unsettling, but also oddly refreshing and comforting in a world where none of these characters ever say how they feel.
Oh, see, okay, so that's interesting because, Connor was very clear and explicit in his communication. But
I think
then
Willow wasn't.
you can see Willa crafting the correct answer
Mhm.
in that conversation. And
Mhm.
I loved, obviously, writing, performance, phenomenal, because you can see the wheels in her brain
Yeah.
turning of like, what do I say to not be lying outright, but
Uh-huh.
also to still get
What I
what
want.
I want.
Mhm.
And oh, that was so brilliant. It was so good.
And she throws that little joke at the end where
Yeah.
she's like, "Well, for today."
Yes.
Oh.
And they
She
just laugh. Ha 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 ha. I'm like, yo, Connor, like, you need to run, dude.
Yeah,
There's
but, like,
red
his
flags all
desire to
over.
communicate, like, he's just like, "Let me."
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of foolish, honestly, to ask a question
Hmm.
like that, but he's
Yeah.
wanting something, you know?
Yeah. If you have to ask
Wanting
the
the
question, like, there's a
Oh,
problem.
he's such a fool.
He is. But they got married, and we're happy for them.
Yes.
Go live your life, guys. It's great.
Okay, what do you wanna see in the next episodes? I think we've alluded
Uh,
to quite a bit, but
yeah. I
specifics?
I am so curious what a Logan Roy funeral would look like. Um, they
Oh, man.
there was a throwaway line of like, "We'll do the Reagan funeral with a few tweaks." And I was like, I I want to see this. Like, you've primed me for a Logan funeral, so I'm hoping we see a glimpse into that. I think that that would be fun.
Mm,
Um, and then, like we've talked about for this entire episode, I want to see these other players emerge and start
yep.
making some moves. I'm so excited. I like Jerry, and I'm so intrigued as to what she does.
Mm.
I think that's really fascinating. Frank and Carl are also really interesting to me because all three of them have been in those upper levels
Yep.
before, but always in a supporting role. And so, like, okay, what would this look like if you guys start making some moves?
Mhm.
I'm very intrigued.
Yep. Yeah. And to see their strategies and their cunning come to light. Clearly, they've been
Hmm.
able to survive in this world for this long. So they've got some things up their sleeve, I think. Um, I'm excited to see the way that there's these threads that have unfolded in past seasons that I wonder if or when this final season will bring them to the light. Like Kendall's like baggage and the things that Logan's covered up for him and the fact that now the two kids,
Mm-hmm.
his two siblings now know about it. Like, will that come to bite him? How will they use that? Will they use that? Will they have the choice to use it and choose not to? Like I think there's all these unresolved threads that can really blow up and to this fireworks show in this final season, Or maybe the show's not interested in like capitalizing on going back on all of those things and wielding them in that way, and will bring up new ways to write this story. But there's so much scandal that's been buried beneath the surface that are now like valid playing cards for them to use, and weapons for them to use against each other. And whether they choose or choose not to use it will be, I think, pretty fascinating. There's a lot with like the stuff that Tom's been hiding with Greg, like all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just buried for now.
Yeah. Bring back some of those season 1 threads. Yeah, that would be really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Any other last thoughts before we wrap?
I'm also interested to see what they do with Carrie.
Yes.
Because I think they're planning some stuff with her, and she seems like a bit of a wild card.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what do we have brewing here? So that should be fun.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. They'll either fade her out, or she'll be a key role. At least as a pawn for someone.
Yeah. I'm very intrigued with her.
And what information does she know?
Right?
I'm sure she knows a lot.
My God. She probably has so much information.
So
and
much
is
intel.
She as much of an idiot as she seems sometimes? Or is she actually really, really shrewd?
Yeah.
And will use all of these things to her advantage? Ooh, it's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. We shall see. All right. This was our review and discussion of episode 3. You can find it available on HBO Max. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of TV and Us. Our name sums it up. We're big fans of TV and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories. So everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad that you hung out with us today as we continued our journey through Succession Season 4. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you tune into your favorite shows. Drop us a review letting us know your thoughts about episode 3. You can connect with us on Instagram and Twitter at tvnspod, or you can email us at tvnspod@gmail.com. We will be back next week to discuss episode 4 as the games begin. We hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk again soon.